All right, is that better? Okay. I am sorry. Hey guys, once again, I've done this behind the closed scenes like a million times thus far. I am so sorry about that. I did not have myself added to the live stream. But welcome. Thank you so much. Hey, Kay. Thank you for being here. Frankie, my number one, thank you so much for being here. Teacher Chronicles, thank you for my day one. You're always here. I appreciate it. Who else is here? Gail at Night, one of our day ones. She was here. Welcome. Thank you for checking us out. And all of the ones that will be watching on the replay, I appreciate you. And today we're going to talk about something that's very important. And tell me, how do y'all? I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. And tell me, what do y'all think about the nice, tranquil water in the background? We're talking about something that's very heavy, very serious, but the point of this live stream is to bring clarity, to bring calmness to a already crazy and that loved one that is pulling you by the nose. I'm not sure if anyone can relate. I've sure had some experiences dealing with loved one, not a loved one, with friends with addiction, and it's been really a big hurdle to get over. Um, but the main way of getting through addiction, we're going to talk about detachment. And that is a way of working around addiction. But before we get into that, we have a website now. And we want, hey, how y'all doing? We have a website and we want y'all to check it out. So I'm going to let you check it out real quick. Um, Let's see here. All right, so just go to Ask Pharmacist Tish and pull it up. And this is a way, another way of getting in contact and just really be able to dig in and be a part of a community where we are kind and we look after each other. It's not about just me, or you. It's all about collecting together as a community and helping those that are not in the best place to help themselves. So go to Ask Pharmacist Tish, and there's a quiz on there, which I found to be fun, and it gives your knowledge of how much do you really know about homelessness, how much do you really know about addiction, and all of that stuff that really matters. All right, so back to the addiction and the detachment. What is detachment? Detachment is being a part of a situation such as addiction. Hold on, let me get this off real quick. Okay, so attachment rather, is being a part of a situation, but loving the person that is going through what they're going through from afar. So let's say you have that husband, let's say you have that wife, let's say you have the children, let's say you have those grandchildren with addiction. Okay, they are pulling you by the nose. You don't know what's right, what's wrong. All you know is that your loved one is hurting. They are hurting. They are not in control of the situation. But you have to remember that you are in control. And that's something I had to learn when dealing with people with addiction, that you are in your right state of mind, whereas that person with addiction is not in their right frame of mind. That is very key to dealing with a loved one with addiction. You have mental clarity, they do not. So it's ludicrous to say that you are dealing with them, watching them suffer, hurting themselves, and you're allowing them to just you're just going with the flow. You can't have that. So you have to learn detachment. And detachment is something that is across any kind of relationship when it's unhealthy. Any kind of relationship that isn't healthy, you have to practice detachment. So detachment, for example, would look like, hey, I'm just having a really rough time and I could really use some money. You know, what do? Do you support the habit of your loved one, knowing they're going to take that money to get the drugs that they don't need and that's hurting you and the family and themselves? Or do you lovingly say, maybe not this time, or this is not the best time for me to give out money? So that's a form of detachment. Another form of detachment is when your loved one, you have to like I said, remember that they are not in your right state of mind, but you are. So whenever they are blowing up, whenever they're upset or having a difficult time with the emotions, what do you do? Do you go there with them? Do you argue with them? Or do you walk away? Let them win that quote unquote argument. How do you handle that? So that's what detachment is. And like I said, it's a healthy part of any relationship with people when things aren't healthy and when it's hurting you. Frankie says that, let's see, Frankie says it is a difficult thing to deal with. Yes, it is very difficult. And y'all put in the comment section, what do y'all think? How do y'all feel about how far should you go to hold on to a person who is, to try to save them from themselves? How far do you think you should go? Um, when there's domestic violence involved and your child is there, going through this with y'all. How far will you go for your husband, your wife to go through that? You have to have boundaries. That's very important. You have to have boundaries. Another way of not losing your mind when someone is not in a right state of mind, being the person with addiction, you have to let them experience their own choices. You have to. They choose to take the drug, yes. But you have to understand that addiction is a chronic disease. It is a disease state. Yes, the first initial taking of the substance of abuse is a choice. But after that point, you have to realize that it's a chronic disease from that point on. Okay? So another way is to, as we just saw, you have to remove your kids, or you have to remove loved ones, that grandparent that may be living with you and that really can defend themselves or whatnot. You have to remove them from that dangerous environment. They're not themselves. Okay, they're not themselves. So you have to practice being in control of your own situation. Otherwise, you will have them just rip the family apart and for nothing, because they're still going to be on drugs. You're still going to be stressed and rattled. Um, let's see. Oh, we have a, hey Tony, how you doing? Thank you for coming. Thank you so much. So you have to be in control of your situation. That's the main thing. In order to properly detach in a loving way, you have to be in control of the situation. I cannot express enough that you have to be in the proper state of mind, because they're not in their proper state of mind. So if y'all agree with me, please say in the chat, or what are y'all ways of dealing with addiction, a loved one with addiction? How have y'all handled it? Have y'all handled it in a tough love kind of way, so to speak, or did you go that extra long mile with them just to find out what you already knew, is there is no hope in that? And this is all about, like I said, saving your own mindset, saving your own way, because otherwise it'll just you'll just go down a rabbit hole. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to fiddle around in the background. So yeah, let's see here if I got any comments. So hey Tony, Teacher Chronicle say, hey Tony, yes I agree with you. Okay. Frankie and Tony, and Kay and whoever is listening, how do y'all feel about the detachment? Like I said in my last live stream, I went through a situation where I was helping out a person who has a deep-seated addiction. And I didn't understand, even though I'm a pharmacist, even though addiction is my expertise, but you never fail to realize the deepness of how addiction goes and how much it grabs that person. I dealt with a person where their mind was to a point where they still can communicate very well. And you have to realize they're very manipulative. But their mind was, still good enough. We having great conversations. Their memory is impeccable, and it gives uh, illusion that they're in their proper state of mind. Frankie says sometimes you have to remove yourself from them. Yes, that is excellent. Yes, yes, you do. You have to, yeah, you have, yeah, Frank, that's an excellent point. You have to remove yourself from them. Well, with this young person, I was so surprised because this person is so brilliant and so smart. And when it came time to those drugs, it just was over. It just all common sense, all self survival skills, self preservation skills were gone. And also, it also included where I was put in jeopardy because nothing mattered on this earth except getting that drug. So I had to very lovingly but very firmly draw that line of listen. And I actually said to this person, I understand what you're going through, but this is what's going on here. I have my proper state of mind. I am not on drugs. I'm not on drugs. I'm not in experiencing an addiction. Okay, so I'm thinking clearly. I'm not going to have you pull me by the nose and have me go down this rabbit hole because your brain is rewired. You cannot do that. You have to make that so clear. Let's see. Sam, Tony Samuel says, and thank you, Tony, along with Frankie, for being a channel member. I really appreciate that so very much as a support. But Tony says, it took me being disowned by my family, everyone, and 14 months in jail, prison to realize I needed to get clean. Wow, that's excellent. And I want to commend you, Tony, also because I've seen so many cases in the case I was just mentioning where people are they hit rock bottom, and that's a good thing to say, Tony. When your loved one has addiction and you're trying to save them, you keep giving them the money. If you keep giving them a place to stay, unfortunately, you cannot have that mess in your home. You cannot have confusion in your home. And yes, I know it's a scary thing where you feel like you're going to lose them, you're never going to see them again, they're going to die. But that may happen either way. But you have to do what's best for the situation to preserve them in yourself. So if you're giving them a place to stay, all you're doing is giving them a comfortable place to have their addiction. Period. When you give them money, all you're doing is making it comfortable for them to get their drugs. Period. Okay, so like Tony was saying, he had to basically dry out, and his family disowned him. And what did that do? That allowed Tony to hit rock bottom. That allowed Tony to hit rock bottom. Whenever you are interfering, so to speak, in addiction process of them healing, if you don't allow them to hit rock bottom, all you're doing is prolonging the situation of them to. I'm sorry, my computer. All you're doing is prolonging the situation for them to hit rock bottom and to get to a point where they're ready. Listen, a person with addiction, they are not going to make any moves whatsoever until they are ready. You can do all the interventions in the world. You can do all the talking back to them. You can do all of the back and forth with them. You can give them all the money. You can not give them all whatever. But until they're good and ready, is all for nothing. So you have to let them hit rock bottom for them to be ready for help, to be open for help. Tony says, I was on meth and crack, and my mom is the queen of enablers. And I used to threaten her that she'll never see me again just to get money. Once she called me again just to get money, once she called me on my BS, I started getting clean. Okay. Okay, let me read that again. I was on crack, meth, and crack, and my mom is the queen of enablers, like most mothers are. We are nurturers, so that's a natural thing to do. And plus, we don't want to see our children hurt. We don't want to see that. That is to see that young person. that I had to quote unquote leave them where they were, so to speak, not to give the full disclosure of the situation, that was very hard on me. That was hard driving away from them. But I had to do it because they wanted me to be a part of the process of them, a part of their own demise. I was not going to do that. That was not going to happen. Not under my watch. No. So Stoney said he was on meth crack and his mom is the queen of enablers. And I used to threaten her, manipulation, that she would never see me again just to get money. Once she called me on my BS, I started getting clean. Do y'all understand how powerful that is? I like that. Yeah, keep that up if you want to, please. Let's see. Yeah. So detachment, thank you for the definition, is the idea to separate yourself emotionally from the damaging effects of your relationship with the addict. It's not abandonment, it's not complete dissociation, but it's having control of your life, of your family, of the addict. It is control. It is much needed love and it's much needed nurturing. It's the flip side of nurturing, but it's still nurturing all the same. Because you're going to do one or two things. Either you're going to nurture the drug, the addiction, or you're going to nurture the person who's going through the addiction. Who do you want to nurture? You have to choose one. Yes, they're all one and the same, unfortunately, but who are you going to nurture? So you have to pick that you want to nurture the health of your loved one, the chances of their survival, the quickest route to get them to that rock bottom state so they can be open for an intervention, so they can be open for help to get off the drug, period. Let's see. Frankie says you have to be ready 100% to stop. Oh, yeah, 100%. And just to give my own clarity into my own situation, you know, as I've mentioned before, and which you would end up finding out anyway from my testimonials, I've had issues with opioid addiction. I had an open heart surgery. Long story short, I ended up at the pain clinic, and I had a really deep addiction to opioids. I didn't quite hit rock bottom because my pharmacist knowledge really did help me to keep things in perspective, to understand that the addiction is a hijacking of your brain. So the choice is yes. The choice is first starting off with the drug of choice. But after that, is the addiction is a disease. So it's I wasn't I knew I had a problem. I knew it I was going to hit rock bottom at some point in time. But nothing was going to change that until I was really ready and open to let the drugs go. Because what are you also letting go? What is the loved one also letting go? They're escaping pain, as in emotional pain. They're escaping disappointments in life. They're escaping the embarrassment that they're giving to the family. They are getting to escape. It's like a vicious cycle. So you have to have control. Move away from taking too much responsibility. That is another great example of detachment. You have to um, move away from it. It's not your responsibility. You have to let them experience their own life choices. I'm at work. Take care. I'll watch this when I get home. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, Tony. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, y'all make sure, even at the replay, make sure and like the video on the way in. And I'm sorry I started off with a rocky start. I was trying to get things set up, but didn't do it right. But yeah, so you have to be in control of your situation. You can't if they're arguing with you. Another way of detachment is why argue with someone with an addiction? Why? What are you getting from arguing with someone whose brain isn't even wired the way yours is wired? Literally, when you have an addiction, it's a chronic disease. And I'm going to keep saying that till we are understood on that. It's not something just for fun, or it may start off that way, but at that point of addiction, it's a disease. It literally changes the neural pathways of your brain. Okay. So the way you operate, the way they think, the cravings, they go back to a primitive caveman where all they can think about is drugs, 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 literally. And when they don't get said drugs, the body literally will react to that. Panic will ensue. The runny nose, this all of the things that come with addiction will come from that. So you have to understand that what's the point of arguing with someone who's literally not in a right frame of mind? So when they're gonna be cranky, they're going to be combative, and they're going to be manipulative. Okay, if I'm saying the word correctly, manipulative. So you have to not feed into that, and then still give money because that's what it all ends up happening. Eugene, hey Eugene, thank you for coming by. Thank you so much. Thank you from Charlotte. I'm in Charlotte as well, so okay. Like I said before, if you have like children, if you're dealing with a husband or wife, see that's when it gets really, really sticky. And you really have to. All right, bye, Frankie. Thank you so much for being here as always. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And y'all gotta understand, Frankie is my day one. When we were just getting started and going and everything like that, Frankie was there from day one for real, for real. So I appreciate you, Frankie. So I check you out later. So you have to hold on, computer's tripping. So nag them about their responsibility. That's another thing. These are not babies. Okay, I've done a video on that before. That an addict is not a baby. Stop babying them. And I know this is going to sound harsh, and if y'all think I'm being harsh, please give y'all honest opinions in the comment section and give some feedback on what's another way to handle a loved one with addiction. How far would you go to save them? But they're not babies, okay, at all. So you have to treat them accordingly. Don't nag them. I say that to say, don't nag them about their addiction. Don't nag them about their responsibility. Do not nag them. They know what's going on. They know what they need to do. They know bills need to be paid. They know they need to stop using. They know all the la 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 la. Okay, stop babying them. Don't nag them because all you're doing is frustrating yourself and frustrating them more into this rabbit hole of thinking that they're correct and not instead of focusing on getting to that rock bottom point that they need to get to, they're just thinking about why you're hating on them and how they're going to work around the nagging or the irritation that you're giving them to get what they want in the first place. Okay, so don't nag them. Decide what's really important. What's important? I'm gonna keep going back to that being combative with them or talking, arguing with them. Is that really important? They're an addict. They have an addiction. Why are you arguing with them? Like, let's be clear. Like the young lady, the young person rather that I had that episode with recently, I almost fell for it. I don't know why. Because it's something about addiction. When they're talking to you like they have sense and they're smart and brilliant and they can tell you about your life and help you out, and then they turn around and running after drugs, shamelessly and manipulating you to get you to be a part of it, you will fall for it. No matter how well versed you are, you will fall for it because each person is different and addiction presents itself differently in each person. Okay? So don't, yes, you fall for it. Don't beat yourself up for it. That's just like relapse. The addict may even relapse, but don't beat yourself up. You brush yourself off, you keep going, but you have to stay in control of the situation. There are 22 million people in America with addiction. 22 million. 90% of that 22 million aren't even treated. What is going on with that? That's because of a lot of enabling. They're not being treated because they are not allowed to hit rock bottom. The ones who have loved ones, because there are a lot of people like the homeless that we interview. They don't have family, and that's a different sector. But they aren't. Let's see, hold on. They aren't. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry on my computer. But you have to just basically be in the right state of mind. You just can't. Both of y'all just can't be, you know, tripping. Stop focusing on what they're doing. I know that's so hard. That's another way of detachment. You have to stop worrying about what they're doing because that will literally drive you insane. That would put you in the wrong energy on how to attack the problem. So whenever you have a loved one, how far should you go to save them? You can't save them. That's the answer to that. The answer is detachment. You have to look after yourself. You have to be a head of your household. If you're that wife and you used to that husband being a head of household, you're the new head of household. You have to be strategic because you don't want to hurt the spouse or just create other scenarios from that power struggle that may ensue. But you're ahead of the household. You have to work around the situation to get them to the point that they're open for help and relief. Okay. Let me see. You have to understand that you can't fix it. You can't fix someone with addiction. All you can do is show them love from a distance. All you can do is support them. All you can do is not argue with them. All you can do is not feed into the enabling of them. That's the only thing you can do because they have to be ready. Their brains aren't wired correctly. It's rewired in a different way. So um, you have to be aware of that. Let them experience their own choices. I'm not sure if I said it already, but they have to experience their own choices. Listen, if they can't make it to work, you can't do, what they want you to do by calling in or covering for them. No, they need to feel that. If they run out of money, if they're using all of the money, if they work, and if they're using all their money on drugs, they may have to skip that rent. That is all to it. You cannot play any games and you cannot play around with someone with addiction because they will literally have you just down a rabbit hole of nothing and nothing is being accomplished. Out of the 22 million people who are suffering from addiction in America, guess how many people are actually suffering with them that is touching? It's 45 million people. 45 million, so it's over double the amount of people that it's reaching. 45 million Americans are in total suffering from addiction. Okay? And that's because of the constant enabling. And it's nothing is working because of the enabling. So let's do something different. Okay, if we have 90% of people who are suffering from addiction, and basically almost only single digits of people are being treated and are being successful with their addiction. I mean, we have to do something different. Something different has to happen. So you can't keep doing the same thing and wanting different results. Okay, so that's the whole really the premise of talking with everyone about addiction and how far can you go to save them. You cannot save someone with addiction. All you can do is love them from a distance, practice detachment, and wait for them to be ready for rock bottom. You can't think about the future as in, will they hurt themselves or whatnot, because they're still adults. They're so, even if it's your child, they still are capable of making their own choices, and nothing is going to be any different until they make the choice to not use. Okay. Let's see. You don't want to nag them. whenever they are doing something good, which I'm very good at, if they're doing something good, compliment them. Whenever the person, the people I deal with addiction, and if they give me like a great idea, if they give me like really good conversation about how we should get the nonprofit going or whatnot, I praise them because I'm number one, I'm genuinely appreciative of it. No matter what the source is, I'm appreciative of it. But you have to, praise them. Don't only, ignore the situation or but be combative with them with the situation. It can all be negative. You have to create an environment of control and positivity and detachment. You have to create that environment. There's 90% of people who are addicted. Something different has to happen. Okay. Um, let's see. Like I'm spiritual on choices, compliment what they're doing. So that's, the main thing you have to do when someone's addiction. Do y'all have any other concepts or any ideas of how y'all deal with addiction, or have y'all ever had to deal with someone with addiction? Like, how do y'all feel about intervention, stuff like that? Yeah, so that's the one I was looking at already. And detachment isn't selfish, as this is saying. Detachment isn't selfish. It's caring for yourself and letting others care for themselves. You can't save the world, and it's not about being selfish. I mean, because everything that as pharmacist Tish is about looking after our others and helping them out when they can't help themselves for that moment. Okay, so we're not talking about being selfish, but it's selfish to keep enabling and not having the strength within yourself to put a stop to it and to help them move on. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna break it up a little bit. And I'm gonna go over some comments that we had in the past that people asked, and then answer those real quick. Can you pull up the comments for me, please? Hold on. Hold on, let me move this out the way. And y'all give y'all feedback of what y'all think. All right, so we get questions a lot. You said, are we doing anything to help people, the homeless? I'm just switching gears back to the channel. And a lot of people ask these questions about, are we really doing anything besides just sticking a camera in their face? So, and what I have to say to that is, as Pharmacist Tish, we are a nonprofit, and we are bringing awareness to the homeless. We are bringing awareness about mental health. We are bringing awareness about addiction. And this is the one of the main ways of bringing awareness of addiction, mental health, homelessness. Sometimes you just got to throw it in your face for it to bring awareness to get anything done. Hey, love for all, how you doing? Thank you for coming. Thank you. So whenever people ask, what are we doing? We're a new nonprofit, so we're working towards helping out. But if like you're driving a car, right, and you're on the interstate, and you're just driving like 80 miles per hour, and then all of a sudden you get to a pocket of the highway when everyone's driving normal. And so you got to read the room. You got to read the situation. So the situation is there's a cop around, right? Okay. So back to this scenario with as pharmacist Tish, when we're doing interviews, read the room. We have these people who are very loving, they're very giving, and when we talk to them, they're very relaxed, and because they know that we care. They know what we're doing behind closed doors. They know what we're doing behind the scenes. So that's how I answer that. So they wouldn't be like literally when I drive up, they come to my vehicle and to greet me and everything like that. So for people who, um, yeah, and that's just something we are starting at tents and clothes and stuff. And that's just something but we're just getting started. We're giving out Narcan to businesses and stuff. So we're just getting started. But for people to give me that report and to give me that real deep story of their lives, you have to have something in you for them to want to share because they just can say blah, blah, blah and walk away. But they keep talking, they want to share, and it's healthy. It's healthy to get things off your chest. Don't you feel good when say someone says how you're doing and you happen to say, well, I'm just not doing well, and you tell them what you're going through, and don't that feels good to just get that out? So why would the homeless people be any different? But we are doing things behind the scenes and we're working hard. And actually we're going to be doing a fundraiser, which is going to be fun because I don't like being bored, y'all. I know I'm probably boring y'all right now. I don't like to be bored. So we're doing like a spades tournament fundraiser for the homeless. So look out for that. Mental illness and drug addiction is very common among homeless population. So that's another comment that we've gotten. And the comment again is mental illness and drug addiction is very common among homeless population. That is so true. Y'all would not believe all of the people who have schizophrenia that use drugs to calm the voices in their head. Can you imagine always having voices in your head? You're homeless and no one, you have no family. You never had family. Someone offers you some drugs. It calms the voices in your head. You feel better. You feel like you're normal. A lot of people that are homeless, they want to feel normal. They want to escape the pain of the molestation. They want to escape the pain of the abuse. Like the childhood trauma, y'all would not, it's phenomenal how even the ones that come from good families have gone through so much molestation, so much pain, and they use the drugs to calm. So many people with their bipolar disorder, they are manic one moment, the next moment they're deep depressed. They get some drugs. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that's why there's a high percentage. Imagine not having a childhood. Like the last video we did with the woman rather saying when she was a child, she had to stand on the stove just to cook a meal. That means she was so short and so young that she missed out her whole childhood because she had to care for her siblings, not even knowing what to do with a baby doll ever. So, yes, that is a very, very big deal with the mental illness. I mean, with the homeless population, the mental illness and drug addiction. And so that's why when we focus on the homeless, we're not focusing on just food, shelter, clothing. We're focusing on the mental health aspect as well. Because with all the food, water, shelter, whatever, if you still have that schizophrenia, if you still have that bipolar disorder, how long are you going to keep a home? So we're focusing on the whole person. When you ask a politician an easy question, this is what their answer sounds like. And I always say, be nice. So for all y'all people that like saying those saucy comments, be nice. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, are they politicians? Can they talk that talk? Yeah, people with addiction can talk that talk because they're trying to get what they want. I'm not trying to speak badly about the homeless community because that's what the richest community. All of them, all addicts, it presents in different ways, but when it comes down to that manipulation, it's all the same. Love for All says, I have noticed older people are starting for their first time using drugs. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. And it's so important for us to really hone in with the mental health with the homeless because with the pandemic, imagine how it is for us with homes, with jobs, with security in a lot of cases, and dealing with everything with the pandemic. Now imagine that times a million for a homeless person. Yeah, so yeah, they can politic, they can talk. Yeah, of course, because it's all about survival. Is it for the right thing? No. But it's just, but that's what we're about as a community. We're here to help them how we can. Why can't he work? Wow. How many times have we thought about homeless people and only thought that they're homeless because they just don't work, they don't want to work, they don't have a job, they can't keep a job, they don't want a job? What about that person with schizophrenia that hearing voices? These people started off with jobs, and one day they hear that voice in their head at work. So yes, they a lot of times they can't work. They literally cannot work. Now there's some stories that we've done that, maybe they could have, worked things out or blah blah blah, whatever, whatever. But we all human, and when you have bipolar, when you have the schizophrenia, when you have severe anxiety, when you sometimes you just can't work, and then you end up on this, and then you end up on the streets. Um, what's another one? Let me see. Failed the first test, you survived. Now, see, that was mean. So they basically was referring to a person. He said he failed the first test by surviving a bullet or something. I can't remember. Right? All of them aren't the same. Yeah, they aren't. Moving to the next one because that one's kind of was a mean one. Do we have another? Try helping instead of interviewing. Woof. Mm. Put it in the comment section. How do y'all feel about interviews? Do y'all, and I'm not the only channel. But how do y'all, when I watch them, I don't, it's not an enjoyment per se, but it's all about being aware, being a better person and learning. That's what we're here for. We're here to constantly grow and learn. And I ain't gonna lie to you, before I started these interviews, I really thought a lot of it was because of unaffordable housing, low paying rate wages. So that's what I was thinking. And then when I start really immersing myself in the world of homelessness, I realized, hold up, this is crazy. These people have schizophrenia. Of course they can't work. They're hearing voices. One day they're this person, the next day they may not be that person. That's, of course they can't work. So anyway, try helping instead of interviewing. So interviewing is a way of helping. Not saying that's the only thing. And I've already addressed this earlier, that we're a nonprofit, and this is our whole agenda is to serve the homeless that we are doing. And I am pretty slack. I don't show the things that we do on camera because first of all, I'm shy. Believe it or not. I mean, I don't want a camera in my face. Listen, I'm not putting eyelashes and makeup on all the time. That's a real thing. But let me see. I'm just not. But bringing awareness and just talking to me. You know how many times people ask them, "How are you doing?" I bet now that y'all watch the channel, I bet y'all look at homeless people in a different light. I promise you, I bet you do. You don't see them as just bums. You see them as people with a story. You see them people that are trying or they went through childhood trauma. Look at them as that child that never had a baby doll, that never played with a little truck. These people never had a childhood. So how are they supposed they didn't go through the whole process of being a child to be a proper adult. Over 70% of people who have addiction suffered from trauma. Trauma and addiction almost goes hand in hand. So when from the interviews, it shows the human condition. And when you see the human condition, what do? You have more compassion. So the channel is a learning channel. You learn about how other people are living and understand that not everyone is the same, and not everyone's situation is the same, and not everyone is just living this wonderful life. Let me see. Hey, Deborah Ball, Deborah Ball, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. I can remember 30 plus years ago, older people, 70 plus were addicts. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say, I was really a big on saying there's no such thing as an old drug addict, but there really are. I mean, you get a sprinkle of them of some old drug addicts. Usually, but what's the age rate? The age range of the life expectancy of someone with that's homeless. What's the age range of survival? Excuse me, of life expectancy, like 40 to 50s. It's 40 to 50s. So, it's those fans that's really no such thing as an old drug addict. But yeah, I interviewed some that are 60s and 70s, and I don't see them kicking out anytime soon. this running a rat race, you know? I mean, but they also get cancer that needs to be treated. And you know what's going to happen at the hospital. They have no insurance. You know, they also, get like pneumonia from that, being out in that cold weather. So let's see. Like I said before, it's an awareness. I think the interviews are helpful. Thank you, love for all. You shy? Yes, I'm shy. It's not that I'm shy. I just don't want to put on makeup. I don't want to scare y'all, okay? Because I'll look crazy without doing my hair and stuff. I'm pro interview. As an addict, trust me, I had no issue with getting my own help. I just didn't want it, and the money I got and I got went to getting high. Yeah, you know what, Tony? I would just love to hear your story of how did you get to a point where you were ready and also that you actually did something about it. Because it's just so frustrating where I talk to, certain people and they are full-blown addicts and they're so resourceful and they're so brilliant. The word is brilliant, but they're not brilliant enough to know that they're destroying themselves with addiction. It's like, this one person I dealt with had a bullet hole in each thigh. They escaped death and wanted to run back to the same crack spot. It just blows my mind. It's like, so what would be that person's rock bottom? Because I thought they were gonna be at rock bottom. Having two bullet holes in each leg. No, no. I kind of thought that would be it. No, not even close. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being ready, they were like a -5. It just blows my mind. So someone like you, Tony, and even myself, I mean, I'm a pharmacist. I could have definitely been in jail, from cleaning out the pharmacy or just all kind of craziness. Doctors and lawyers and all people are high functioning addicts. They go to jail all the time from doing shady stuff because of addiction. So I commend you, Tony. I commend myself and everyone who knows that life is so much more than chasing a high, chasing that dragon. Let me see. Let's see. It was okay one day. Me. Let's see. I might get on because I'm a mess of a person. I might get on pause. That's the person. And if anyone wants to come up and share their experiences or just talk about what they want to share about detachment, I'm gonna drop the link and come up and join me. Just you don't have to cam up, but just come up and talk to me about what you have to say. How do I feel about detachment? I mean, because I ain't gonna lie to you, I had after I realized that person was pulling me by the nose and wanted me to participate, and they cracked shenanigans. Oh, it was a wrap. Oh, I got pissed. I don't know how people do that. I don't know how people but that was a friend. I don't know how I would have done if that was my own daughter. But I think if with the knowledge I know now and the coaching, I would know what to do. I would know how to be loving, but be firm because the firm will eventually save their life and get them quicker to where they need to be. Let's see. Let's see. Thanks, Tony. Hope all is well. Let me see what it says. I'm doing good for me, should say. Let me see. I know someone person who said that who should be dead, but they keep doing the same thing. I know it's amazing. They just keep doing the same thing. It's like, and that's what and you know what you call that love for all. That is not having a purpose. And that's what that was the pinnacle thing with me when that had me to end my opioid addiction. What had me to end it was I felt I had a purpose. I knew it was something else I need to be doing with my life besides always chasing behind prescriptions to get my medication. And sometimes I didn't get it, and it was always hell breaking loose. It was just crazy, but I knew I had a purpose. So one of the biggest things to break up addiction for the person who is the actual addict is to have a purpose. Tony, what is your purpose? Do you have a purpose? Because I knew you had to find that gumption inside of you to end your addiction. So what I would love to for you to put in the comment section, what is your purpose? I would love to know it. But that's people who like Love Fall says, they just keep doing the same old thing. Good grief. That means they have no purpose, they have no hope, and they don't understand what life is about. Life is about living and having the good life. It's not about chasing behind a 5 second high. It's not about that. For our next comment, it says, God bless all of them with peace, love, health, safety, properly, prosperity, and protection. God bless all with peace, love, health, safety, and prosperity. So we get some beautiful comments, and y'all don't know how much. And I do get around to the comments. It may take me a minute because there's a lot of comments, and I do work a job. Whew. And sometimes I really want to put heartfelt comments or not just put like a heart or anything like that. So please excuse that I get to them later than sooner. But these kind of comments are very encouraging. And the people in the homeless community, they're actually watching the video. So when they see in the comment section, they also see the bad stuff and they call me out on it. It's like, Tish, why you let them do that? I mean, what? It's, what? You're doing worse, so shut up. I just talk junk to them, why not? But yeah, so let me see. So it's very encouraging for them to do that. Let me see. And y'all, like I said, y'all come up if y'all want to share your story. Let me see. Oh no, I'm okay, really just in a small town. Let's see. Tony also says, sorry, Tish, I'm writing crazy at work, so was typing. Oh, you're fine, baby. You're fine. That sounds exactly what it is. No purpose. Yeah. So that's what helped me so much because there were things before, there were already things in my mind I wanted to do with my life before I ended up with my opioid addiction. And when I realized I was getting older and nothing was happening, and when I tried to start my, to end my own addiction, and I couldn't, and I just wasn't getting anything done. It was just crazy. I was like, I was just walking around being a husk of my former self. I was not myself. And that's what you also have to, that's why you have to practice detachment. The person that you're dealing with is not the person that you know. They're not, they look the same, they may act the same, what's up with the extra manipulations, but they're not the same person. You have to handle them differently. You can't handle them like they were the person you knew before the addiction, because that's a different person. And a lot of people get wrapped up in, it's just like a relationship. When you're dating a guy and he's great and everything, and then all of a sudden he turns to crap, like most men do. I'm just joking. Just joking. And then you're like, you're working so hard to get him back to where he used to be. You know what I'm saying? But you have to handle that situation differently because now you're getting to see what that other part of him is about. And so you have to handle it accordingly. Tony saying says, I want to fix my wrong. I have a college education. I had a great marriage, and I gave it all up to party. I have a degree in applied mathematics, and now I'm working at Subway. I got to do better. Listen, okay. The first thing is awareness. You know where you're supposed to be, and you're working on it. Life is a process. So you done the first part of it, and that is excellent. And the thing that keep people in a cycle of addiction, and this is for you, Tony, as well, because there is like usually over a 80% chance of relapse, and I had that issue before where I did a false start. So that's a part of life. But you have to realize a lot of times with addiction, people stay in that cycle because of the guilt, the shame, not wanting to own up to the things that happen. But you're doing that, Tony. And this is going to be no thing. Once you get to the other side of addiction, the other side of it, it's going to be no thing. And you're gonna be able to have your testimony, and you ain't gonna mind like you're doing right now. I know you're ready. I know you're ready because you don't mind talking about it. When you're still shy and embarrassed, and that means you're not into it just yet. You're trying, but you're not there. But when you just blast into the world, that means you're ready and then you have your purpose. But Tony, you never said what is your purpose? Because you didn't do this just to stop. You did this because you had something else on the other side of addiction you wanted to accomplish. Um, Let me see. You can do it again, Tony. At least you're working. Exactly. Don't matter where you're working at. There's a start. Exactly. You will start realizing you want more than Subway when it's time. Right. Yeah, you're taking baby steps. Yeah. You're doing excellent, Tony. Like you just do not understand. Do not take what your achievements are for granted because the human nature, the human spirit loves to be comfortable. And so many people are so comfortable in not wanting to break that cycle. They are so comfortable with no purpose and they're so comfortable in for getting high for literally, as you know, Tony, after a certain amount of time, you're only gonna be high for 5 seconds. That is so stupid. That's nothing that turned me off. I was like, dang, only 5 minutes. Like, I mean, I could be doing something else. 5 minutes of high, but you done wasted a whole day to get high. Isn't that so dumb? Let me see. Love for all say, by the way, make me a sub. I love Subway. I know that's right. I know what I'm having for dinner. You ain't never lied, Tony. If you say, I have to say so. I think that's what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, it's not like your degree expired or anything. So you just have to take your time. Take your time. Take your time. You're on the right track. So what do y'all think? Love for all. What do you think about detachment? Do you think that's and Tony, you've been through it as well. Well, you already said Tony. But what do y'all feel about detachment? What do y'all feel about loving from a distance? What do you feel about not engaging in arguments, not, giving them money, not letting them stay, in your home just to get high comfortably, and what do you do with the fear of letting them go with attachment? How do you feel about that? How do you reconcile the feelings of maybe I won't see them again? How do you reconcile that? You reconcile that for realizing that you're doing what is best because what's going to happen is going to happen either way with addiction. It's always a one-way street. 90% of people aren't being treated. There is something else that needs to happen. We have to practice detachment. Oh, it's going to stay at 90%. I have to say, seeing your interviews, I felt empowered. Seeing you talk to the other addicts, homeless, and just talking with them, not at them. Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Tony, what allows me, I mean, I'm a naturally compassionate person, but what allowed me to be able to, as you would say, talk with and not talk at, because I could have been me. I could have gave it all up. I work at a pharmacy. I could have gave it all up and been homeless just like them. I understand their pain. And to hear that they didn't even have a childhood, and they working with the negative. They started off in the negative numbers and not in the positive. That just blows my mind that they are still able to smile, that they're still able to open to talk. They be so, and a lot of times, and I'm sorry, I'm talking all fast and I'm getting excited. A lot of times we talk like 30 minutes or so before I even turn the camera on. Because I genuinely know or feel they need something. They need for someone to talk to them, not just to look at them and throw them a dollar or, do this or do that. How are you doing? You need to stop that habit, right? You know that crack ain't gonna get you nowhere. You need to take your medicine. Why aren't you going to see the doctor? You don't have your insurance card? Well, what do you need to do? You can't get there. How can you get a free bus pass? Taking them through the start of, of hope because no one is talking to them. No one is talking to them. So to give them a game plan,
Are
casually
you
giving them a
homeless right now?
Casually giving them, and that's an example of someone who's older and still a full blown, have a still a full blown addiction. Full blown. Go ahead and play it for me, hon. You gonna play the video?
Yeah, well, off and on. I love the streets. My mother used to tell me I was going down the street.
Right. So do you find it hard to end addiction at this point in the
Well, I
game?
am going to have to. Either it's going to end me, I'm going either I end it or it's going to end me.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. This can be my grandmother easily. Talk with her. We see each other. I hug her like she's a grandmother. Give her full honor and respect as my elder. But she still have a crack habit, and she's not shy to talk about it either. And she don't mind getting wrangled around out there. She's the one doing all the wrangling around, actually. Everyone respects her, but she has a daughter that she says that's a teacher and everything, but still that addiction is strong. And if I'm not mistaken, it seemed like she had like a rough childhood, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of times if you don't deal with, like with, and I hate to keep pointing you out, Tony, but I'm bringing me into it as well. What are we escaping from? What are we escaping from? So if you have a loved one, if you have that husband, if you have that wife, if you have even that child, as much as that may put you in a spotlight, what is their core problem? What are they trying to escape from? What is your husband trying to escape from? What is your son trying to escape from? You may not think as a parent that something is a big deal, that failure in college or something that happened back in high school, the bullying in elementary school. You may not even know that stuff. But that stuff can deeply planted deep seeds and sprout into an addiction, that they have to escape from. It just depends on the person. So, someone like her who somehow managed to have successful children, who's still living a life that's still being cared for, because she's never dealt with that core, deep problem that she's escaping from. She still has an addiction, walking around with a cane, still being a grandmother, but still hanging at the wall with the other crack addicts. Absolutely amazing. We see, Love for All says, I had to personally do this with a family member, very close member. I didn't go around them and have my kids around them. I didn't give them anything that would contribute to their problems. If you don't call that detachment, I don't know what that is. Exactly. Do not have your kids around that environment. No, you do not. Because you don't want that disease is a chronic disease and it can spread. The spirit of enabling and the spirit of this addiction. You don't want that. But that's what you have to do. She says, Love Fall says they were not going to contribute to the problem. Enabling is contributing to the problem. 44 million people that are reached or touched by addiction are there because they're enabling the 22,000 million people that are suffering from it. Something has to be different. You have to do something different. And just simple detachment and getting them to that rock bottom state may make it quicker. Love for also said, I tried to help that person, but they weren't ready to change. I wasn't disrespectful at all. Excellent. Detachment means letting them get to where they need to be. You can't get them there. You can't cry your eyeballs out. You can't say, my child, my wife, my husband. How can you keep doing this? You're tearing the family apart. You can't keep doing that because it's not going to get you anywhere. You have to put on the armor of strength and have a game plan on how you're going to deal with that loved one. Otherwise, you and them are going down that rabbit hole. And you have to remember, they're not working with their full mental state, but you are. So what is your excuse? They have an excuse. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, they have an excuse, not to baby them, they do have an excuse. Their brains rewired. But what's your excuse?
So are you homeless?
And then we have another video of
How long you been homeless for?
ooh, another homeless gentleman who has been homeless for over 20 years. Look at him. Look normal. Look like he could be a grandpa. You know, he is a grandfather, but still have addiction.
Right. Okay. So are you homeless at the moment?
Yes, I am.
How long you been homeless for?
Maybe 20 years.
For the last 20 years? You was in the church big time? What? In what way? What do you mean?
I knew that God loved me. And
Yeah.
I loved him. And I went back out and started using again.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, it's just like Love for All, I believe, saying there's a lot of old ones still hanging around. So, so haven't learned. They haven't had someone to give them that detachment, to give them that tough love that's needed to help them be the person they need to be. And this is also, unfortunately, a prime example of not having a purpose. The opposite of addiction is purpose. If you don't have a purpose, why would you stop using? You have to think about it that way. Let's see. Tony says, me and my mother are back in contact. And to be honest, things are all messed up. I think she missed my addiction. She is codependent, and I had to learn that. Woo! We had to turn on the purge on that one, honey. Woo! You said a word on that one, Tony. Wow, how deep is that? You had wow. She wants she wants to be in control of your life. And she saw that was an easy way. She stole your mother and she still wants to feel that motherly instinct, but she's just confused. Addiction, that's the thing. Addiction causes so much confusion. You're up, you're down, you're around, around. You don't know what you want. You know, she probably felt like you were safe because she had control of the money, the finances, where you were, keeping you close. Now you're a man of purpose. You're doing what you need to do. And that may be frightening to her to let you free into the world. So that was really deep. And I commend you. I commend you for seeing that for what it is and still loving her, but still doing what you need to do because you're still your own man and you can't accomplish anything of worth if you still have an addiction. Even a high functional addict is not going to last for so long doing that. Even after being disowned once, I got out of prison. She wanted me back and wanted, let me see, she wanted you back, hold on, and wanted to enable. Wow, I wonder how did that work out? I wonder in what ways did you find that out? That would be really interesting to find out. Love for All says sometimes you have to feed family with a long handled spoon. Yes, and detachment, like I said, it's not just for people your loved one with addiction. It's anyone that brings any form of toxicity or unhealthy habits into your life, into your family's life. So this is not just for addiction. Let's see. She was a mess. I agree so much love. Let's see. It hurts when you can't solve their problems. A lot of times it starts from childhood. Yes, it really does. Y'all, it just broke, and that's one of the main things I've learned from speaking with the homeless and interviewing them is that they did not have childhoods. They did not. They were stripped away of their dignity. They were stripped away of their
The young
spirit.
woman from previously,
Like this young lady right here.
that spoke on her situation about
So what made you start using drugs?
um
What's your main problem?
I'm uncomfortable with the fact that I'm becoming or became content in being buck wild.
Really?
Nobody wants to be like this.
So we see here. This is someone who doesn't have a purpose. They have given up. Their spirit is broken. If I'm not mistaken, this young lady was R awarded at 14 years old. She was R awarded at a very pinnacle time in her life. when she was just becoming a young woman, and someone came and stripped that dignity from her, stripped her of her choice. And not everyone can handle the R word like a champ. Not everyone have the same kind of strength at the same point in time in life. And this is what manifested from that event. Okay? So it's just, so the only thing that's gonna help her is for her to find a purpose. Because she's not even close to ready. Not even close. But she's very cognizant. She talks about her family, how they're a good family, that they deserve better. And see, that's the thing that trips you up with addiction. They they are very aware and they're very brilliant on what's going on around them. But unfortunately, they use that for manipulation. They do. Um, yeah, that childhood trauma is really it's deep. They say it is a disease. My other family members were mad at me for not coming around. Yeah, but you did the best thing. I mean, they can keep doing that, and sometimes, as a loved one, and that's a really good point, love for all. And even Tony, that was an excellent point. When you have to be responsible as a family member. You have to be responsible, and like I said, you have to be the leader. You have to be the one working with the full deck because they're not. And you have to put away your personal needs and desires aside for the health and the health of your loved one. Okay, so if you are codependent or whatever your disease state may be, mental health wise, you just can't keep someone in a perpetual state of addiction to make you feel comfortable. This is what Love for All is basically saying as well, as Tony. They want you to round. I mean, I've dealt with that too, where I have family members that are mad and they want me to keep giving, 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 and doing, 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 and overlooking the overarching point of there is a big addiction going on. No, I'm not gonna be a part of that. No, now stop asking me to give money. Now stop. So you just have to let go of that enabling spirit. I mean, it's nurturing, but it's a malignant nurturing. For me, I ran for many things. Ran for many things, but as a gay man, meth is so normalized in the community. I made my own choice, but before I knew it, I was an addict. And that is true. Yeah, meth, cocaine is, I mean, when it comes to like certain sectors of the community, it's almost like it's no big deal. But it is a big deal. It's a very big deal. Especially with meth, I mean, it shows itself. You have skin, your skin is all picked up, skin picked up, your teeth all jacked up. You know what I'm saying? A lot of cases. So, I mean, so for people to make that a mainstream drug, because a lot of the people, they get the good math, or, they know how to control it at the beginning, and they, put out this propaganda that it's okay. No, it's not okay. But you're so right, Tony, that you make it seem like it's okay. Um, Overall said, what's sad is that they seem to forget they were knocking on death's door. They carry on about their day like it is nothing. Yes, honey. Like I said, that young person I was dealing with that had a bullet hole in each thigh. Woo! I mean, and wanted to go back to the scene of the crime. I mean, you listen, use the opportunity to talk to the social workers in the hospital, get the state help that you can get, and start fresh. But that addiction, and I just wasn't going to be a part of it. I wasn't going to do it. I just wasn't. And I'm okay with it. I still
50,
do. All right, so we have another example of a 57-year-old, almost 60 years old with a full-blown addiction.
how old are you?
57.
57. And I mean, my thing is, I always say there's no such thing as an old drug addict. Is this no such thing? Your body's gonna give out.
Correct. I like the way it make me feel.
Right. How long? So you've been using drugs basically since the age of 12.
Correct.
Using since the age of 12. And that's because some kind of childhood trauma, some kind of neglect as a child. nothing else to say. Childhood trauma for you to use at 12. I mean, that's just so addiction is so it's such a rich and deep rabbit hole. But as a family member, like Love Fall says, see what family can do to you. Family can do that, they can enable you. But hopefully with this live stream, you can understand the importance of detachment. You're doing it for them. You're doing it to speed up the process of progress. You're speeding up the process of them finding their purpose and want to do something different. Because 90%, over 90% of people are not treated. There's something else that has to happen. You can't do the same thing and expect a different result. That's called insanity. Exactly. Not about to be a part of that. It is not okay. Yep, since 12 years old. That is amazing. Sad. Very much. 12 years old, already using drugs. I had one gentleman, he was using drugs since he was 7 or 8, he said. But he also was molested by his own father, who fed it to him so he can keep being molested by him. Yeah. Childhood trauma. So
If you
even
get a check and you say your mom only gives you $5.
yeah, this gentleman right here, for example.
Okay, so you get a check and you say your mom only gives you $5 of the check.
At $8.95.
Okay, so you have a substance abuse issue?
Yes.
How old were you when you started a substance
I
abuse?
started snorting cocaine at 7.
So how did you get the cocaine?
My dad. Hey, want me to tell you the truth?
What?
The truth is my personal life. I feel like I want to die every day.
Isn't that the saddest thing? This guy, sweet guy, he just got out of prison when I saw him the last time, and I was so glad to see him. I was so glad to see him because when you see him and when you talk to him, you feel pain. You feel it just blows you away the pain that you experience. It's amazing. Just absolutely. I mean, my eyes are just twitching right now just from thinking about him in the pain. Look at his eyes. Childhood trauma, poor parenting, neglect leads into drug use, leads into homelessness. And here we are. So whenever we see people that are homeless, think about people like him. Think about people like him that never had a childhood, but still somehow smile, that still somehow, I've been around them where they give to each other. They've given to me. They say things for me to give to me. Absolutely amazing. Their hearts are amazing, even though they were jaded at such a young age. Tony Samuel said, your world can be on fire and you just don't care while high. Once the high is over, you look around like, what the heck did I do? Exactly. Exactly. The world can be set on fire and you are chilling. But it's selfish. Addiction lifestyle is a very, very selfish lifestyle. It's selfish for you, it's selfish for your loved one, and it's selfish because what are we here on this earth to do? And it's not just to get high. We are here for a purpose. Like I said, on the other side of addiction is purpose. And if you're still getting high, and if you're enabling your loved one of getting high, that means you don't have a purpose either, and they don't have a purpose. They'll fall sick.
Homeless
Says
at the
Tony.
moment?
Tony says, I get it sometimes. Recovery doesn't seem possible, and death is the only cure. Thankfully, I learned that isn't true. Right. Recovery, over 80%, if I'm not mistaken, of people suffer from relapse. Over 80%. So when you hear that number, that means 80% people may have tried and they've given up because it was too hard. They don't understand it's a part of the process to fail. Everything in life you fail at. Everything. Just like with this channel. Sometimes I have a good day, sometimes I have a bad day. And y'all don't mind telling me about both, I appreciate it. But sometimes you fail. A lot of everything, that's just life. So you just don't give up and you don't accept death. You don't accept it. We're not here to just go through this and then just to die. We're here to serve one another, to love one another, and to serve each other and to have a purpose. To be honest with you, if I didn't have my addiction, I would not be here talking to you today. And I'm gonna say that probably for every live stream because that's what it is. I wouldn't think about homeless people. I'd be more into my own life. I would definitely be into my own life. I would not have the compassion. I would not have the empathy if I didn't myself go through it to understand what they're going through. So let's play this video real quick.
And are you homeless at the moment?
Yes, I am. As far as not, getting high on a regular basis, getting drunk every day.
Okay, so basically when you did the cocaine with your friends, I just kind of...
Yeah, spiraled me downhill.
And this a gentleman that went through having his friends die from fentanyl. Y'all heard of fentanyl? That's like wiping everyone out off of one little flick. Like literally like a flick of, a pinpoint of a pencil is enough to kill you. But his childhood was so difficult. He called himself a bad kid. He said, I was a bad kid. What you don't grow up thinking you're bad. When you're a kid, under normal circumstances, you grow up thinking you're great. But he called himself a bad kid. He was so verbally abused, and I believe other ways of being abused, that he can be around his friends dying, literally falling to their death, healing over from fentanyl, and that doesn't even faze him. He's still going to roll the dice. Lack of purpose, lack of hope. Where there's hope, there's life. There's life, there's hope. You are a blessing to others. Yeah, Tony, I believe love for all, saying you're a blessing to others. But yeah, so if I don't have anything else to mention, I just, want to appreciate everyone for being here. I want to appreciate my channel members, Tony and Frankie for being here earlier. We have one more channel member. She's not here tonight, so hopefully she'll be here at the replay. So I want to give a shout out to you. Make sure and check out the website. I have some weekly blogs on there, voice blogs, where I kind of give my experiences and talk about my what I notice about addiction and homelessness or whatnot. Check those out under the blog section, and I really appreciate love for all. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your commentary and being real. I just love what you said about how your family, how your family was standoffish with you because you wanted to be standoffish from someone who has an addiction. So that was very deep and enlightening because you were in your right state of mind. Your mind is right. Everyone else, the addiction got everyone else scrambled, but you still in your right state of mind. So that was excellent. I appreciate that. Tony, you and me need to talk because I have a course that's coming out and I would love for you to be a part of it. Since we've been through the same struggles and we're both, making it through and doing great, it'd be great to have your input from your perspective as well. So I would love for you to be a part of helping me with that and being a part of that journey with, the online course I have coming up. It was such a big deal to hear about how your mother was more safe with you as an addict than you not being an addict. That was very, very profound. So I appreciate you sharing that and for you having the strength to know that there is something else to do besides get high for 5 seconds, right, Tony? It's only for 5 seconds. It's not funny, but people give up their lives for a whole bunch of 5 seconds. Who else are here? Gail, thank you so much for coming through and moderating. I don't know how you do all the things you do, girl. I do not know, but I do appreciate you so much. Thank you, Frankie. Frankie, you my day one boo. That's my day one boo, y'all. Me and Frankie, that's me and Frankie now. That's our thing. The Dever Ball 50. Thank you for being here. Um, who else? Teacher Chronicles, thank you so much for participating and being here. And just, and we're going to, we'll continue to discuss addiction because there's a 90% of people who have it. And that means there's a lot of things we can learn to eradicate the problem. It's an easy problem. I've done it. Tony's done it. I've done it on my own. And the only reason I was able to do it on my own, because I hate to say it, being a pharmacist did help. I was able to differentiate between the drug and the person. I was able to see the drug for what it is. It's just doing what it's supposed to do. So what I'm gonna do about it? I'm just gonna keep letting it run havoc in my life, or was I gonna be in control? Thank you, Kay Green, for being here. I appreciate it. And yeah, so just appreciate y'all. Until next time, I will see y'all later. Take care. Bye bye.